to the panel today. We have Nuno Ponte from Multiserve, we have Thomas Olofsson from AppGate, and Pedro Pombo from Extension. Now, we're going to go through the presentations fairly quickly. I think there'll be about 10 minutes each, and if we can leave the questions to the end, that would help us just try and keep the time and make sure that we get you on the bus in good time. Now, sorry. Technology is never my strong suit. You show. Okay. Now, I've been asked today to present to you on the subject of roles and the benefit of roles to public administration. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that roles are the solution to all of your identity problems, because they're not. And I'm not going to tell you that roles are easy to implement, because a lot of the clients that we work with find them quite challenging. However, what I can tell you is that roles and role-based access controls will form a major part of all major identity and access management programs in the future. And if we're going to continue with, if we're going to continue with the current level of engagement with our clients, then we need to find a way of dealing with the increased complexity of access management associated with engagement. Now, I thought before I got into the main part of the presentation, I'd try and share with you my understanding of what a role is. And my simple definition of a role in the context of identity is that it's a collection of similar entitlements, attributes, or objects that can be used for the definition of access rights. And when I'm talking about engagement, I suppose what I'm really talking about is the interaction between our organizations and all of the different groups that we work with on a day-to-day basis. So engagement is key. It's a key strategic direction for public sector organizations and also private sector organizations. Governments want to engage more with their citizens. They want to engage them more in the democratic process. They want to provide more services online. And also they want to engage more with their partners. Now, in the context of eID, those partners may be other governments, they may be other government departments or different agencies. In addition to that, they also want to engage with their suppliers. They want to integrate the suppliers more closely with the work that they're doing to try and drive further cost efficiencies within government operations. And let's not forget government employees and contractors as well. They actually want to engage their own employees more in the process of delivering services to their clients. Now, business is very much the same. Businesses are looking to engage their customers. They want to get more business from their customers. They want to secure more brand loyalty so that they can actually drive their businesses forward. And businesses like public administration are looking to build stronger partnerships and work more closely with their suppliers. So what are the implications for all of this increased engagement? So in summary, we have more people trying to access more information. And that represents a major challenge in terms of how do we provide them with the right level of access rights, and how do we make sure that their access rights evolve over time to reflect their changing relationship with our organization. And as more people try to gain access to our systems, what we find is that we're actually experiencing increased administration costs in terms of determining who should have access and providing access to those individuals. And this increased activity around more people using our systems is also introducing additional operational risk to our organization, because we have more people to manage and more access into our systems. So as more people want greater access to our systems and services, our costs are actually increasing. But managing the additional administrative overhead manually for a large user base is virtually impossible, and it's very, very expensive. I can give you an example of a major bank that we engaged with 2 years ago. They were trying to manually administer access rights for 1.1 million users across 1,057 applications. and they couldn't do it. Now that user base was actually generating 3.8 million tickets into the help desk just purely for access management activities each year. Now, I'm not quite up on the actual cost of a help desk call, but that represents a very significant cost to that bank. Now, the good news is that they did actually embark on an automated role-based access control system, and they reduced the number of help desk calls related to access administration from 3.8 million down to 26,000. So that was the cost justification for that particular exercise. Now, while the banks have actually been the early adopters in Europe, we're now starting to see governments actually also embark on role-based access control projects. So in the past 12 months, we've been working with governments in Italy, Germany, and the UK to deliver role-based access control projects. Now, in addition to the challenges of scaling our access management solutions, we have to allow for the effect of increased legislation and regulation. So how do we ensure we are protecting personal data and also providing a full audit trail of who had access to key systems? The further challenges that governments face, and this touches on a lot that's been discussed today, is getting and retaining the trust of their citizens in particular. Now, I'm going to pick on the UK because that's my home country, but a survey organisation called YouGov last year conducted a survey in the UK, and of all those surveyed, 80% said that they had lost confidence in the government's ability to protect their personal data. Now that's a major problem if you're trying to bring in eID and trying to do more online. Now only 2% of that group of people said they had complete confidence in the government's ability to protect their data, and that's pretty shocking really. And what was even more shocking for the government was that 35% of the people surveyed said that they believed that there was a real risk to them personally of fraudsters using that information lost by the government against them. So as you can probably imagine, that represents a major challenge in terms of bringing in additional services, certainly for the UK, but we're seeing similar concerns expressed across Europe by its citizens. A further challenge is cross-border or inter-department engagement. So, for example, where access entitlements need to be validated and we can't actually communicate the identity of the individual trying to access that information, we have a certain challenge. An example of this, for example, is the police forces and security services, where potentially somebody does need access to data, but they don't want to be identified individually. Now, if that individual is a certified member of a role, and that role and the policies on that role provide access to that data set, then they can be provided access to that data set while maintaining their anonymity. So just to recap, in terms of the three main challenges that we see, we have the additional costs of increased administration as we provide more services to our citizens and other users. We see additional costs of compliance as we're trying to adhere to increased legislation and regulation in terms of protecting personal data. And over here, we'll always have the challenge of maintaining the trust of the citizens so that we can actually have the right to continue and engage with them with further initiatives. So how can roles help public administration? Well, roles can actually simplify the management of access entitlements and significantly reduce the cost of administration. To take the earlier example of the bank with the 1.1 million users, by trying to manage access rights on an individual level across 1,057 applications, they were effectively trying to manage 2.1 billion individual objects in order to ensure that access was being properly managed. So what if we could actually define those 1.1 million users in the context of, say, 2,000 roles? We can actually reduce the number of objects under management from 2.1 billion down to 2,000. And that is really what is driving the cost savings and the reason why I'm quite confident in saying that in the future, role-based access controls will be very much part of identity and access management programs. The other benefits of using roles is that roles will help streamline the access control process. It speeds up provisioning of access to those users and will also simplify the segregation of duty enforcement. roles will also help enhance audit effectiveness and reduce the amount of time taken to prove compliance. This helps to ensure that compliance is achieved and the costs associated with lengthy audits are reduced. I'm already getting the wind up. So the use of roles also requires an organisation to focus on defining an understandable model for access. Now, this shouldn't really be underestimated, because what it does is it contributes to a more efficient definition of processes and policies within an organisation, and that can only be good. So to recap, the main benefits from the use of roles are the reduced costs for access administration, reduced costs for ensuring compliance, ensuring effective controls are in place to protect data and also to maintain stakeholder confidence. And I guess what it's all about is about enabling governments and businesses to benefit from greater engagement with citizens, customers, partners, and suppliers. So, in summary, I would say that roles are challenging to implement. There's no way around that. It does require a lot of effort. However, the financial benefit and the compliance benefits are significant. And certainly in the engagements we've had in Europe, in a lot of cases, we've actually delivered a return on investment to those clients within 6 months. So there is actually a good payback on there. The other good news is that the role-based access control market is maturing in Europe. So there are vendors out there and systems integrators who have proven technology and proven expertise in actually making these work now. That wasn't really the case 18 months ago, 2 years ago, certainly not in Europe. And if you'd like some practical advice on how to actually implement role-based access controls, we have some very good documents on the Sun stand outside. I'm sure Johanna would like to see more people there. So just like to say thank you very much for listening. Thank you for your attention. And please hand over to Nuno.